Speaking of moments, you've been, as you mentioned, your career with the Fever. First six, though, were tough, obviously. They weren't as easy. You guys have made the playoffs the last two. What's been the big turnaround? How have you viewed the way the team has grown organically?
Kelsey Mitchell has finally spoken out. After months of polished answers, recycled sound bites, and endless speculation from so-called insiders, the heart and soul of the Indiana Fever finally gave fans what they've been craving: the truth, unfiltered and unapologetic. This wasn't just another routine interview. Mitchell dropped a statement so powerful it shook the league, leaving players, fans, and analysts scrambling to grasp its full meaning. Every word carried weight, every pause had purpose. And in that single moment, she reminded everyone that true leadership isn't about who's the loudest, it's about who speaks with conviction. What Mitchell said wasn't simple commentary, it was a declaration that could reshape the way we view Caitlin Clark, the Fever, and even the WNBA as a whole.
Then you bring in Caitlin, who changed the world, changed the dynamic of basketball, and as a friend and as a player, you grow to appreciate her because, certain doors have opened because she's come to the Fever, and you have to respect that. And I love the teammate and person in her because she's accepted it with so much grace and even welcomed us with open arms to, make this thing happen. So I think it just took a lot of big pieces to make, The
real question now is this: was Kelsey Mitchell simply showing respect? Was it the spark of a brewing rivalry? Or was it something much bigger? A bold, brutally honest, and refreshingly authentic breakdown of a teammate that set a whole new bar for transparency in pro sports. That's what fans can't stop debating today. But before we break down the heart of her words, think about this. Has Caitlin Clark not only elevated women's basketball, but completely changed how the world sees the sport? Are we watching the most significant turning point in modern sports history unfold right in front of us? Is Caitlin Clark the ultimate game changer? Drop your thoughts in the comments below.
You've changed the world in so many ways. You've done it with so much grace. And I'm so happy to take the floor with you, to be a part of this experience. I want to tell you to give yourself some grace, kid. You've done a lot of things that not a lot of people can do. And from me to you, I'm always going to be a fan. I'm always going to be in your corner. I'm always going to be in your backcourt.
That's the level of conversation Kelsey Mitchell's words have sparked, and why her voice carries so much influence. Because let's be real, mention the Indiana Fever anywhere, and everyone knows what's coming next: the Caitlin Clark question. It's as predictable as the sunrise. Doesn't matter if a player's breaking down defense, talking about pre-game routines, or even just chatting about the weather. Sooner or later, the topic shifts. But what about Caitlin? That's the gravitational pull around Indiana basketball right now. And this time, the one answering wasn't a bench player or a background figure. It was Kelsey Mitchell herself.
But you've been with Indiana through the thick and thin. You've been with them since, like we was talking, like we about to go get our rhythm on Indiana. You've been there, you stuck through, and to now be in the semifinals. What does that feel like? And for people watching, like girls, boys, if they athletes, not athletes, what does it feel like to stick through something and now see it come into full fold?
And that point carries more weight than most people realize. Kelsey Mitchell isn't just another player on the roster. She's the one who's endured it all. For years, she was the lone spark in the darkness, dragging Indiana through seasons so brutal they were almost unwatchable. This is the same Mitchell who held together a team that managed only 5 wins in an entire season. The same Mitchell who survived a carousel of coaches over nearly a decade, while opponents circled Fever games on the calendar as an easy night, a chance to boost stats or rest their stars. Through it all, she was the one left to carry the losses, face the microphones, and repeat the empty cliches about building for the future after yet another 20-plus point blowout. That was her reality. For Mitchell, it wasn't just basketball. It was like pushing a boulder uphill every single night.
Has made the playoffs the last two. What's been the big turnaround? How have you viewed the way the team has grown organically?
Oh, man, I think a big shout out to the organization taking time to rebuild. I think our draft picks ended up coming big. Lexi Hall was a big draft pick, and then you get Kaylin, and then you get AB. And so you culminate that together with, my experience and having to, go through a couple things before they got there. I think it was just like a match made in heaven, really, because I was, still at a young age to really, vibe and get to know these players for who they were. And then you bring in Kaylin, who changed the world, changed the dynamic of basketball. And as a friend and as a player, you grow to appreciate her because, certain doors have opened because she's come to the Fever, and you have to respect that.
So when Kelsey Mitchell finally spoke about Caitlin Clark, it wasn't empty praise. This wasn't some generic "she's great, she helps the team" soundbite. Mitchell has never been about polished PR lines or staged answers. What she delivered was raw, genuine, and sharpened by years of grinding through the league's toughest seasons. And in doing so, she confirmed what fans have seen with their own eyes, but what few players have ever dared to admit. Caitlin Clark hasn't just elevated the Fever, she's reshaped the entire landscape of basketball. Mitchell's words landed like an earthquake. Clark has changed the world, changed the dynamic of basketball itself. Let that settle in. That's not just flattery. That's a groundbreaking admission from the one player who had every reason to feel overlooked. The backbone of the Fever, the one who endured irrelevance and frustration, looked straight into the camera and essentially said, "Without Caitlin, none of this happens." The sellout crowds, the national spotlight, the global attention, every bit of it.
You were an MVP finalist this year with our own Wnba even saying that you had the best season of any guard this year in the league. What has it been like to get that kind of recognition and get your flowers?
Oh, I appreciate it. I've been to a lot throughout the course of my career with the Indiana Fever. It's been like my longest, ever. So it's for me, it's a humbling experience to kind of see myself make waves from where it started to where it is now, and just kind of respect the game, lean on the game as far as creating bonds and friendships. And now you get to see us do that now, a couple years later.
What made Mitchell's words even more powerful was what wasn't there. No envy in her voice, no backhanded comments, no resentment hiding between the lines. Just pure, genuine respect. That's what set her apart. And yet she never diminished her own place in the story. This wasn't about stepping aside or conceding the spotlight. This was balance. A reminder, subtle but firm, that before Caitlin Clark ever arrived, it was Kelsey Mitchell carrying this franchise through the storm. She was the one grinding through the darkest years, keeping Indiana relevant when the league had practically written them off. While opponents circled the Fever as an easy win and built their stat sheets at Indiana's expense, Mitchell was the one holding the identity of the team together. She wasn't just keeping things afloat, she was the engine keeping the entire franchise alive. Now in 2025, that loyalty is paying off, not just in numbers, but in legacy. Mitchell didn't just acknowledge Clark's impact, she elevated it while also cementing her own. That's the brilliance of her statement. It wasn't about rivalry, it was about leadership. And true leadership doesn't fear competition, it embraces it. That's why fans everywhere are still talking about her words. Not because they were dramatic or designed to go viral, but because they were authentic. In a league where jealousy, bitterness, and subtle digs too often dominate the conversation, like with veterans like Aja Wilson throwing shade or Cheryl Swoops taking shots, Mitchell flipped the script. She showed that honesty and respect can coexist, that you can recognize Caitlin Clark as a once-in-a-generation star while still standing tall in your own legacy. And in doing so, she gave the WNBA something it's been missing: authenticity.
Oh man, it's an unbelievable experience. It's a moment that I don't want to, take for granted. I want to cherish it as much as I possibly can. Like I said, I don't want to use this moment to as a moment to not grow. And so hopefully the mental preparation that I've been through and the things I've been through can kind of help me get through these moments. And then loving basketball for what it is and just, loving the game and having fun with it.
To really grasp the weight of Kelsey Mitchell's perspective, you have to rewind Indiana's story. When Lexi Hull first joined the Fever, the franchise was still the league's punchline. Wins were scarce, losses piled up, and relevance felt like a distant dream. During those years, it was Mitchell who faced the cameras with a smile, answering questions about building blocks, while the team barely scraped together 5 victories. She carried the burden of dressing up failure as progress, even as the weight of it all sat squarely on her shoulders. Then came Aaliyah Boston, a dominant force in the paint who gave Indiana its first real spark of hope. Her arrival was like planting a flag in barren ground, a sign that maybe, just maybe, the future could look different. And then came Caitlin Clark, a supernova who didn't just change the Fever, but shifted the entire sports media universe. Overnight, Indiana transformed from afterthought to headline. Through it all, Mitchell never sulked, never complained, never demanded a way out. Instead, she embraced the reinforcements, recognizing that this wasn't a threat, and it was the long-awaited change she had been grinding toward. That's what makes her endorsement of Clark so powerful. Mitchell has lived both versions of the Fever. She knows the one that faded into irrelevance, and she knows the one that now sells out arenas and drives culture. And her words make it clear which version truly matters.
I love the teammate and person in her, because she's accepted it with so much grace and even welcomed us with open arms to, make this thing happen. So I think it just took a lot of big pieces to make, what it is now.
What has it been like? Because certainly the world has been focused on her. But what has it been like as a teammate? Because sometimes people are stepping to her, but I feel like you guys are stepping right back in those situations.
I think it's just it's competitive nature, man. You know how it goes. It's just competitive nature. I think that we want to fight to, love on our team and be who we are and respect the game at the same time. So I think it's a lot of just competitive nature at the end of the day.
But Mitchell's words went beyond simple professional praise. There was something deeper, something personal. She didn't just call Caitlin Clark a teammate, she called her a friend. And that word carries far more weight than people on the outside might realize. In pro sports, where egos and rivalries can so easily poison locker rooms, friend isn't a throwaway line, it's a signal. Proof that Clark's transition into this roster hasn't just been smooth, it's been transformative. Mitchell made it clear. Clark didn't arrive just to be the star. She came to build an environment where everyone could thrive alongside her. And that distinction matters, because we've seen it before. So-called super teams in other leagues implode under the weight of ego. Too many stars, too little chemistry, and what looked unstoppable falls apart. Clark has avoided that trap completely. She doesn't chase the spotlight for herself. She plays like the sun, radiating energy that allows everyone around her to shine brighter. And the proof is right there in Mitchell's own career. Since Clark's arrival, her game has never looked sharper. She's playing her most efficient basketball, delivering in playoff moments, and finally receiving the recognition that had eluded her for years. Without Clark, Mitchell might have remained the WNBA's best-kept secret. With her, the nation is watching, and Mitchell doesn't just accept that reality, she embraces it and respects it.
Game 1, I saw Caitlin posted she was fined $200 by the league for stepping on the court. So was there like a locker room pool for her there, or did she take care of that herself?
Man. I'm pretty sure somebody took care of it for her. I love it because as much people don't know this about Caitlin, but she has an unbelievable funny sense of humor. And so I think the tweet was the tweet, but you just have to know CC to know that it's just nothing but love coming from that kid, and her energy and her effort to just kind of support our team is just her way of doing it.
One story Mitchell shared captures this bond perfectly. Caitlin Clark's infamous "fine" tweet. After joking on social media about being fined, Clark's playful comment sent the media into a frenzy. Critics twisted it into arrogance, immaturity, even disrespect. But inside the Fever locker room, it was pure comedy. The players loved it, laughed about it, and Mitchell revealed that it showed off Clark's humor, a side the public rarely gets to see beneath all the pressure and headlines. That single story highlighted the gap between perception and reality. Outsiders saw controversy, teammates saw character. Mitchell's takeaway was simple: relax, that's just Caitlin being Caitlin. And the fact that the team embraced it instead of letting it spark drama was proof of something bigger. This locker room is healthy, united, and thriving, and that chemistry is what makes the Fever so dangerous. Because what the league is really staring at now is the emergence of Indiana's own Fab Four: Mitchell, Clark, Boston, and Hull. Together, they're more than just a playoff squad. They're the foundation of a dynasty in the making. Mitchell even made it clear she'd sacrifice to keep this group together, hinting she'd take less money if that's what it took. In today's sports world, where get the bag is the unspoken rule, that kind of loyalty is almost unheard of. It shows Mitchell sees the bigger picture. She knows Indiana has something historic on its hands. The Fever are no longer the league's doormat. They're the storm taking it over. With Clark's star power, Boston's dominance inside, Hull's grit, and Mitchell's scoring firepower, this team isn't just about this year's playoff run. They're building a culture, rewriting the WNBA's hierarchy, and turning Indiana from a forgotten punchline into a powerhouse.
Look, you guys have been plagued with injuries, including to Caitlin, but you have the best sideline in the league, I feel like, right now. What does it mean to get that support during the postseason from the crew?
Oh, man, it's unbelievable. And I think the best part about it is that we have vet experience when it comes to Sydney Colson, and she's a winner and she's a champion. And then you have people like Caitlin, who's a PG and can pass the ball. And so when I come on the sideline, I get feedback from some of the best players in the league. And so I don't take those moments for granted either, because I feel like it's a chance to see the game in a different route, and I get to talk to them from a level of just them having confidence in me to make plays. So I love it. It's a good experience to have.
Sure, skeptics might roll their eyes at the idea that friendship could fuel a championship run, but the results don't lie. Mitchell believes in it. Clark ignites it, Boston anchors it, Hull embodies it. Together, they've taken a franchise once defined by failure and turned it into must-watch basketball. The Fever aren't chasing respect anymore. They're demanding it and earning it night after night. That's why Mitchell's words weren't just casual compliments. They were a declaration. Her message was clear. Caitlin Clark hasn't just lifted the Fever, she's reshaped the future of women's basketball. And Mitchell, she's all in on being part of that revolution. No bitterness, no jealousy, no frustration about the spotlight shifting. What came through was gratitude, drive, and partnership. And in the world of pro sports, that's rare. It's exactly why Indiana feels different right now. Meanwhile, while Commissioner Kathy Engelbert and veterans like Aja Wilson or Cheryl Swoops waste energy downplaying Clark's impact or stirring up petty resentment, the Fever are building something real, something sustainable, something fans can rally around not just for a season, but for years to come. Mitchell has drawn her line in the sand. Her allegiance isn't with the old guard, it's with the future, embodied by Caitlin Clark and a Fever squad hungry to dominate. The bottom line, Kelsey Mitchell didn't just endorse Caitlin Clark, she embraced her, validated her, and vowed to build alongside her. That's not just respect, that's alliance. And in doing so, she sent a warning to the rest of the league. Recognize what's happening in Indiana, or get left behind watching the Fever rewrite history. Because if Mitchell, Clark, Boston, and Hull stay united, the WNBA doesn't just have a contender on its hands. It has a dynasty in the making, and a direct challenge to the league's old power structure. What do you think of Mitchell and Clark's bond? Let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a moment. Click the video on screen, and we'll see you in the next one.